clear. Article 1. We are the power. We have all the power. Kwa hivyo, Mkenya yeyote mwenye ataongea hapa, aongee about the strategizing of the 7 days so that we can move on and change our system. That's my point. If I have another point, nitakuja tena na I support it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kamande. I think so many people want to respond on what Devon said. Devon pia na request Mike pale chini. So Dr. Kamande usiende chini. Let's give it to Unga Revolution and then Kofi and then Joseph. So Devon usiende. Yeah, let me create that space for you uweze kupanda hapa juu. Unga, karibu.
Sasawa, thanks. I hope you guys can hear me.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, Sasawa. I think I want to respond to it in terms of I support Devon to an extent. When he says that we haven't identified what the problem is. We are skirting around the issue and maybe we don't even understand as Kenyans where we are right now. We're in a revolution. That's where we are right now. We're in a state of revolution. We're transforming. So some of the things that are being put to us as achievements, as wins, they're but small wins, they're small battles that we're winning as we're moving towards our ultimate goal. Now, the thing of, I'm also hearing Dr. Kamande, and I agree with you to an extent, but I also disagree with you. You cannot say that this is what we're doing, all of us. A revolution, in as chaotic as it feels, it's also a democracy within it. Because a democracy is about people deciding what they want to do. It's not about people agreeing, all of them. It's about people deciding what they want to do. And if you say that we are marching to State House, then who agrees with you? Those who agree with you will go with you. Because you have set up something, you've created a goal or a mission, and it is for you to lead people to that mission. But it also depends on, do people agree with you? You cannot force people to, you cannot say that if you don't agree with me, you're not part of this revolution. No, everybody is a revolution. Everybody is part of it. Everybody who has a spirit of it is part of it. The people who have died, rest in peace to all the comrades who have died, they're all part of this particular revolution. Now, maybe just to go in deeper in terms of what we want, and maybe also understanding what is happening on the ground. We want change. We want to transform this. We want to transform this system. Is a bad system. This constitution that we have, unfortunately, it is a bad constitution. It looks good on the surface. It says a few nice things, especially it opens very nicely and says that all sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya and shall be exercised according to this constitution. And then Article 1.2 says that it shall either be exercised directly or through representatives. And for the next 255 articles, it talks about representative. The only place where the Constitution talks about direct exercise of sovereign power is Article 257, which is amending the Constitution itself. That means everywhere else, we have now submitted our power to these representatives to do what they want to do. And that is the reason why you can't do anything. You can't recall them. If you go for public participation, they will hear you, you'll give you submissions, you'll give you a memorandum, but they won't act on them because they don't have to. The powers that the president has right now to do whatever he's doing, including killing people, are powers given to him by the Constitution. He's not getting those powers from the air. He's not getting those imaginary powers. These are powers of the Constitution. And if the Constitution didn't want to give him those powers, they could have given the judiciary the power to prosecute him for the sins, for the crimes that he's committing. But the Constitution protects him. It says that you cannot institute any legal proceedings against a sitting president. I think that's Article 145. So the Constitution gives him exactly the powers that he's exercising. There's no power that he's exercising from anywhere else. We're imagining things because we've been given something called the Bill of Rights that tells us very nice things. You have the right to life, the right to expression, the right to the freedom of assembly, the right to privacy. All those things are just things in the air if there's no way for the people to exercise them in a concrete way. Now, if you look at the countries that have actually been able to, one of the solutions to our problem, because our problem is that we can't control our leaders. We can't control what they say in parliament. Switzerland has done it. In Switzerland, if you disagree with what's being passed by parliament, you just collect 50,000 signatures, you go for a referendum. And you can go for a referendum on any issue. We could have gone for a referendum on the finance bill. We didn't have to go to the streets and for people to die for that. We could have done a very, very simple referendum. Switzerland has 4 referendums every year. And in each referendum, they have like 3, 4, 5 issues. And any issue that you disagree with in parliament, it's taken to the people. Now, even the issue of a recall. A recall should not be so hard to do. A recall should be something that can be done by anybody. Article 1 is almost implemented by the Elections Act, because the only way that you can be able to express your sovereign power as a people is through a referendum. And let nobody tell you that going to the streets is exercising your Article 1. No, going to the streets is exercising Article 37, the right to protest and the right to petition your leaders in parliament. That is not Article 1. That is Article 37. The only way you can exercise Article 1 rights is through a referendum. By people going to say that we as a people, quantified by the number of votes that people are casting in the referendum, say yes or no to this particular thing. This is what you want, this is what you don't want. So that is also something that should have been put clearly in the Constitution, which it is not there. So these are some of the things that need to be put in the Constitution for our Constitution to actually be effective. But other than that, the entire Constitution, it just needs to be completely reworked. But maybe just in closing this particular part, let me go to a very critical issue that's being downplayed or that's not being looked at in this discussion of where we are right now as Kenya as a people, and that's the fact that people have died, and these people haven't died so that Ruto can come out of power. These people have died so that Kenya can become a better place, and specifically for them, so that they can have better lives. These people that we're calling goons, the majority of them live in conditions that most of us wouldn't even desire. And these are people who are trying to change their lives. And despite wanting to change their lives, whenever they get the opportunity and they're in town and they can see that there's something that they can grab, maybe people haven't eaten for 2 or 3 days. Somebody hasn't seen 100 shillings maybe for a whole week. So when somebody gives them 200 shillings to go and destroy things, these are not people in a proper state of mind. You cannot criminalize people who have already been victimized by a system. So sometimes it's also for us, in revolutionary terms, these are called the lumpen. There's lumpen proletariat. These are the lumpen workers, but these are just plain lumpen. Is that they hawana mbele, hawana nyuma, hawana hope, hawana kazi, hawana capacity of kufanya kazi. These are people that the system was completely neglected since they were born until where they are right now. I'll finish with a small story of the Cuban Revolution. When what's his name? Che Guevara, when they were doing the Cuban Revolution, he's an Argentinian. Met Kina Fidel Castro when they were in Mexico. So they were like, okay, as we're going to liberate Cuba. And they did. They were Panda boat, a very small boat here, 12 people, 85 of them, Wakapanda, Wakenda. They fought for another 2 years, and they were able to remove Batista, who was the dictator of Cuba at the time. When they were going through the revolution, the reason why they were picking up people along the way, because when you are talking out of the 85, I think only 12 of them managed to gather to start marching. But by the time walikuwa nafika the capital city, it was a whole horde of people. Walikuwa mobilized army nzima. But what was their story? Their story is this: this is our country. This is our father's land. This land is supposed to feed us and take care of us. We have let other people, foreigners, and Batista as an agent of the US, as an agent of imperialism, to take this land and sell it to foreigners while we are starving in our own father's land. And so they came up with a very simple slogan. And the slogan was Patria o Muerte. Patria o Muerte means this: our father's land or death. Simply our land or death. Because somebody has come and taken away what is our birthright, and they're using it for other things, and for that we shall die. And now this is an interesting part of the story. When they took power, Che Guevara became the Minister of Finance. They were part of the government, and for I think after about 5 years, he left and he came to Africa and to other countries to help them in their liberation struggles. Somebody asked him, Che, you're leaving your wife and child behind. Who's going to take care of them? And this is what he said: if the revolution that we have fought for is a true revolution, then the revolution will take care of my wife and my children and my daughter. It was actually a daughter. What did he mean by this? In the revolution, they promised people that once we get to power, everybody will get food, everybody will get healthcare, everybody will get education, everybody will get housing. And today we know for a fact that everybody in Cuba, the education is free all the way to medicine, whatever it is that you want to do. And that's the reason why they have the highest number of doctors per capita in the world. They export doctors whenever there's an issue. There's a time they exported 30,000 doctors to Venezuela. Because anybody who wants to have that kind of education, become a doctor, will become a doctor. There's housing that's provided there. Healthcare is free in Cuba for everything, including dental care. Everything is free. Because that is what they fought for. And this is a small country, the size of Western and Nyanza province combined, with a similar population of about 11 million people. And in fact, just like Western and Nyanza, the primary cash crop is just sugarcane. It's just sugarcane. They don't have minerals, they don't have anything, it's just sugarcane. But with sugarcane, and on top of that, because they had a system that was taking care of their own people, they were given an embargo by the US for over 50 years. But they're able to survive with sugarcane and their own human resource, being able to teach each other, free education and everything. So what I'm trying to say is this: Kenya is 5 times the size of Cuba. Kenya has a population 5 times the population of Cuba. Kenya has enough land not just to feed itself, but to feed a good chunk of Africa. Kenya has a human resource. We're not supposed to be exporting. We're not supposed to be exporting human resource. We're supposed to be using that human resource to develop our own country. We're supposed to be use that human resource to develop other human resource, and use that human resource to develop our country. So just coming to in terms of where are we going as a country and what is our goal in terms of this revolution? This goal is complete transformation. I agree with Dr. Kamande that we might need to march to Parliament. But marching to Parliament should be based upon people who understand what you're going to do over there. Not out of coercion, not out of being intimidated and being told that we must, but because people understand that the people sitting at State House are people who are stealing our heritage. They're stealing our future, not just our present, but they're also stealing our future. These are people, the entire system needs to go, not just the president. And so you might find that we may not even necessarily have to go to State House. We just might have to create our own thing outside over here. We just might need to organize. And maybe it's just the last bit. How do we contain the so-called goons, which I don't call them goons. I call them the lumpen. Lumpen comes from the word like lump, like clay. They need to be molded. They're formless right now. They need to be formed. They need to be informed on what they have to benefit from the success of this revolution. And this revolution should not be about going back to, because I hear people saying, once you have another cabinet, it will be okay. These are people who are already privileged. These are people who are already doing well in the old system, and they want things to go back to the way they were before Ruto started doing these things. There are people who are also very hopeful within the system. They're like, I'm not so badly off, and if I get the right opportunity with the system as it is, they may be able to make it. But these are a very small percentage, maybe 5%, maybe 10% at most. These of the hopeful people. 90% of Kenyans are hopeless, and these are people who need to see a system change where every Kenyan, Article 43, every person has the right to healthcare, food, education, social welfare. these things cannot be done within the existing system. It needs to change. But the people the people being called lumpen, they need to be told that you can have a Kenya that ensures that you have housing. And countries have done it. Libya did it. So many countries have done it. Everybody has a house. We have cement over here that is being controlled by the French, Lafarge, and also by this Indian Navrana of Devki. We have iron ore that's also being controlled by Devki. We have stones. Who do we need to pay to build our own houses in our own country? See, these are some of the mind shift that we have to go towards our people. And a revolution is meant to shift your mind. We need to stop thinking about who's going to give us. Is China coming to build for us roads? No, we can build our own roads. We need to. And I use an example that most people are not aware of, because history has told you not to look at what he did. When Hitler took power in 1933, Germany was completely destroyed. It was just a complete mess in itself. And the reason why they even voted for socialists is because capitalism had failed them. And so when Hitler took power, and what they won't tell you, because they tell you he's a dictator, but he's a socialist. The Nazi party was a national socialist party. And he mobilized the people who had been jobless, the people who had been, and it was just a crazy place. In Germany was so bad that other countries refused Germans to go there because Germans were going there to look for work. Within 2 years, he had mobilized people to build roads. He had mobilized people to build houses in Germany. He had mobilized people into industry and everything. After 2 years, people were now going to France, not to look for jobs, but to holiday. The same people who had been jobless. So we need such a radical plan. We need such a radical plan that will transform Kenya. And it's not just about getting another leadership. It's not about getting another cabinet. It's not about transforming the NSSF or transforming which ministry or transforming which institution. No. It's about remove everything. Let's go back to the drawing boards. And let's now look at this Kenya as our country with our resources and our people, and first solve the problem of how we're going to do this. So what I'm trying to say is that this revolution can be more successful if more people understood what they stand to gain from a properly run country, a country where we truly own our land and our resources. And through that, those so-called goons, the lumpen, they can become the most powerful force in this country to bring about a proper transformation. And with that, I think I will for now and maybe respond a bit later.